Христос воскресе из мертвых, смертью смерть поправ, и сущим во гробе живот даровал. Христос анесиек некрон.
Dr. Joshua Bowen, welcome to Myth Vision Podcast in person, finally.
Finally.
Michael Goodpastor says, hey, Derek, ask him about the Hebrew Bible and flat earth. I stray into those debates a little, and I hear debunkers say all the time that flat earth isn't there, but I certainly think it is. I'd love to hear Dr. Josh's thoughts there, as well as a rundown on A&E cosmology views in general. Be safe.
What a... This was not planned, by the way, but it's within arm's reach. This is the book you want to get, I think. I don't know if that's in the screen or in the shot, but so Hurwitz has an excellent rundown of A&E cosmology, and including the Hebrew Bible. So yes, to answer your question, you're absolutely right. The Hebrew Bible is, presents what they understood the world to be as flat. It doesn't think necessarily in those terms, like trying to contrast flat with round, because conception wasn't really there. But yeah, I mean, there's foundations to the earth. There's a big dome overhead. You can see that sort of thing in the book of Genesis. So yeah, there's no question. Like, one of the things that we see consistently is that, like, this in ancient Near Eastern cosmology, there are different types of stones that make up 3 different layers of heaven. They're different colored stones, which it fits with their perspective. If you think about the Etana myth, Etana rides up on an eagle's back to go up into heaven, and on his way up, he looks down, and the way that he sees the world is very much in line with this sort of very, like, localized in their sense, not global cosmology. It's just a sort of a flat idea. And of course, the Babylonian map of the world, which my advisor, Paul Del Nero, wrote an article a couple years ago on, and Gina Konstantopoulos has written on this, and we actually have an interview on our channel where we talk about this to some degree. But yeah, like, the Hebrew Bible follows suit. And so again, foundations, dome over top.
Like a snow globe-ish. Like a flat on the bottom, and it kind of has...
Yeah, that's right. And, these verses, like in Isaiah, where it talks about the circle of the earth, this is like the horizon, the word that's used for the horizon. And there are some people that want to make that out to be like, oh, like circle means like, a sphere. No, it doesn't. So it is.
Or like foundations of the earth. That sounds... how are you going to describe that other than when you build a foundation to a house, there's 4 corners. I mean, what do 4 corners even mean? The 4 corners of the earth, it sounds almost squarish, but I'm not going to say that they thought that. They might have thought that,
Yeah, I mean, the 4 corners, that has its own, but it's certainly indicative of this type of understanding. But the big thing is that the way they conceived of the world, the way they conceived of the world, if you look at something like the Babylonian map of the world, is that there's this land mass that's in the center. How far it expands, is very depending probably on the period. But then there's like this ocean on the outside, and then the far-flung edges of the world. So where, like, the flood survivor Utanapishtim, he lives out there. So in other words, it's
out. And like the heavens out there?
No, like out. So if you look at the Babylonian map of the world, there are these, the Nagu is what they're called, but they're like points, these land areas where these sort of mythological areas exist. And Utanapishtim is where, one of the flood survivor, of course, Gilgamesh has to go through this tunnel and race the sun to get to him, right over the sea of death, so it's this sort of out there mythological areas. So, but yes, flat earth, no doubt. They conceived of the heavens as made of different stones. And And certainly if you read through like Genesis 1, for example, you've got this, the rakia, the Hebrew word there, rakia. Rakah is a verbal root that has the idea of like hammering something out flat or thin. So the rakia is this hammered out thing that's essentially put into the midst of this primordial water and pulled up. And when that rakia goes up, there's water above it. So they certainly conceive of, if you think about the flood story in Genesis 6 through 9, it's those sluice gates in the rakia that open back up and let all that water back down. And in the same way that the great founts of the deep break open underneath and let all that water back up. So it's, again, it's this primordial water gets separated out. It's water beneath, water above the rakia. And when the flood, you know, when Yahweh brings the flood, he just allows all that water to come back and recreate essentially Genesis 1 so that he can recreate.